join. So I promise you that in the next 1 hour or maybe 40-45 minutes, I'm going to share the following. I'm going to talk about what is the basic importance of storytelling in sales. Number 2, how to create a story. Number 3, some important points that you need to keep in mind, how to use stories in business. Number 4, how to practice for sharing the story. And last but not the least, I will give you a reference book which you can read to develop this skill further. जो लोग हिंदी समझते हैं, those who understand हिंदी, आज हम 5 मुख्यतः चीजें करने वाले हैं. मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि स्टोरी टेलिंग का सेल्स में महत्व क्या है. दूसरी चीज मैं आपको बताऊंगा स्टोरी क्रिएट कैसे करते हैं, उसका स्ट्रक्चर क्या होता है. तीसरा मैं आपको बताऊंगा कुछ महत्वपूर्ण बातें कि स्टोरीज को बिजनेस के लिए या बिजनेस बढ़ाने के लिए कैसे यूज किया जा सकता है. चौथा, कैसे प्रैक्टिस करना चाहिए फॉर शेयरिंग द स्टोरी. और 5वीं चीज मैं बताऊंगा कि उसकी एक रेफरेंस बुक दूंगा आपको, जिस रेफरेंस बुक के माध्यम से अगर आप उसको पढ़ते हैं, खरीदते हैं उस किताब को, तो आप इस स्किल को अच्छे तरीके से सीख पाएंगे. ये 5 चीजें हम लोग आज कवर करेंगे. हर एक 5 चीजों पर मैं करीब 5, 7, 10 मिनट बिताऊंगा. रफली हम लोग 40-45 मिनट एक दूसरे के साथ लगाएंगे इन 5 चीजों को समझने के लिए. सबसे ज्यादा समय आज हम ये सीखने में लगाएंगे हाउ टू क्रिएट अ स्टोरी विच कैन विन बिजनेस फॉर अस. और करीब 345-350 के अराउंड आपके मन में जो सवाल होंगे आज की चीजें सीखने के बाद, वो व्यक्ति अपने क्वेश्चंस नोट करेंगे. You can ask those questions to me and I'll answer. So, are we good? If we are good to go, you can write yes in the chat box. If you are ready, you can write yes in the chat box. Thank you, Anandan sir. Thank you very much for giving a confirmation. Thank you, Kanchan, and all the people who have joined. My first question or my first subject that I want to pick up today is that in this world of business storytelling, okay, I want to share some facts. Stories are far more memorable than facts. If you want your customers to remember what you are telling them, which is very important in sales, then you need to share stories with them. And the reason why you need to share stories with them is that they are more impactful. If your business is dependent on referrals, then share stories that your clients can share about you or your business. Stories travel from one generation to another. And stories create a perception of value. So let me explain these points further. The first point that I mentioned is stories are far more memorable than facts. What does it mean? क्या मतलब है इसका? If somebody meets you and shakes hand with you and asks you, what do you do? What do you do for your living? Then the answer is a powerful story which comprises of many areas. If you have to write down an about a section on your website, then that should be a powerful story. If you are Writing your LinkedIn profile. It's a powerful story. If somebody is conducting an interview and asking you a question about, tell me about yourself, it's a powerful story. And the smart salespeople are those people who prepare, who design, who prepare, who rehearse the stories very well. So if somebody is giving an interview and asks you a question, tell me something about yourself, one way of looking at it might be that you share facts. मैं यहाँ पैदा हुआ था, मेरे फादर मदर ये करते थे, मेरी पढ़ाई ये हुई है, I have done this much of educational qualification, these are my professional experiences, these are my awards, and refer or rattle off what's written on your CV already. That's one way of handling that question. Another interesting way of handling that question is that you weave a story around it. And if that story is memorable, that story is created very well, that story is structured very well, then people will be attentive. And that's the first thing that you want when you're doing marketing, when you're doing sales. That you want to grab the attention of your buyer, grab the attention of your prospect, grab the attention of the seeker, so that they get hooked onto either the kind of questions that you are going to ask or anything that you are going to explain. Do you agree with me or not? Do you think stories are impactful? If you agree with me, say yes in the chat box. One of the reasons why you should pay attention today while learning how to create a story is that stories are also mini sales simulators. What is a simulator? A simulator is used by, let's say, a pilot for practicing before he actually or she actually uses an airplane. A device which is exactly like the real one, and you simulate the real environment and practice. Stories are mini sales simulators. You rehearse the story so much in terms of how you are going to open a call, how you are going to ask questions, what kind of questions you are going to ask to understand the circumstances, what questions you are going to ask to understand the needs. Sorry, what preparation you need to do before the call, where will you sit, how will you be well groomed. If you are going for an important meeting, rehearse the story in your own brain first. And majority of the times you will see that if you have rehearsed the story very well, exactly that's going to happen in real life situation also. And I'm not talking about a poorly crafted story. I'm talking about that you really prepare yourself well. Stories also have the power to trigger imaginations. If your story is interesting, then people start imagining and go through with you in that journey. And stories help us in building relationship and trust. Let me share a story. Okay. And this is a real story. Since childhood, I have this all-time dream that I wanted to sell something to Google. I always respected that organization as a salesperson, and everyone has this kick that he wants to achieve this, he wants to achieve that, or he wants to have certain brands for which you can be a service provider. I was working for a professional organization, consulting organization, and I got to know that there is a meeting which is fixed, where the then CEO, or right now CEO also, Sundar Pichai, was traveling from the Google headquarters to Nigeria, Lagos. And I got to know during that time that they were requiring digital skills training. Google was entering into African markets, and at that particular point in time, this was their entry strategy. Now, what is the challenge? The challenge is that Google had tried entering into African market, and they used many partners to train African youth on digital skills training. And that's where the opportunity I found, and along with our team for then professional organization that I was working for, we traveled to Lagos. We met the then CEO at that particular point in time, who was based out of Lagos. And during the meeting, we went prepared, we rehearsed, and we found out through our internal sources that they have tried in the past of launching the digital skills training across African market. And what we did was we rehearsed our questions. I entered into the room. We started meeting and interacting, and the then CEO asked a question to introduce ourselves. And my response was that before we introduce ourselves and share more about us, would you mind if I can ask you a few questions and make notes? And I was traveling with one of our very senior leaders. I had a lady who was the business manager at that particular point in time, and we were 3 people from our organization in that room. And when I asked the question on that our internal research shows that you have tried launching this initiative for in the last 5 years, but it has not succeeded. What are the possible or probable reasons for that? And they started articulating that you don't understand, Mr. Seth. In Africa, people used to find it difficult to call me Akshay. So they called me Ashk. They were not able to pronunciate my name as Seth. They called me Seth. And they said, the lady said, Seth, this is not India. You may have found reliable, credible partners. This is the African continent. Our challenge is that we want to launch this initiative in 18 different countries, and we will not have credible partners who will be able to scale up this entire initiative across the continent. So I identified that that's the biggest challenge, and obviously the story that I prepared, the presentation that I prepared, was around the kind of solutions that our organizations can offer. And this question, and one more question that I still remember that I asked, is that what would be the consequence if you are not able to roll out this initiative on you as a human being, on you as a leader? So she shared a story with me where she mentioned that she is on a deputation to Lagos, and if this project becomes unsuccessful, she may not be able to travel back to America. And her daughter at that particular point in time is studying in class 10th, and she obviously wants to be around as a mother during that critical period. Now, I knew in my heart, in my brain, that I am right now not selling digital skills training. I am selling to the business leader, to the decision maker, an opportunity to go back to America. And whenever you understand the need behind the need, which in this case is this, then your chances of you becoming successful is relatively higher, because the customer starts helping you in the decision-making process. Now, with this story, I'm not saying that it would be the case in every situation. But if you rehearse the story well, if you know how to play that story, if you can articulate that story well, there is a structure that I am going to share on how can you craft digital stories. How many of you want to learn a 5-step framework with the help of which you can start writing stories? Those who are interested, say yes in the chat box. If you want to learn, then be with me for the next 10 minutes, fully attentive. Be mindful, don't take phone calls, don't look here and there. Look at the screen right now. This is a 5-point structure which is there for understanding how to use stories in business and how to create a story. The first letter acronym used for creating a story is called CHARM. C-H-A-R-M. And if you want to read more about it, I would strongly recommend an author. Her name is Karen Dietz. She has written a book called Business Storytelling for Dummies. Don't take me wrong when I'm sharing this title with you. But it is really a beautifully written book where you can find many more information about how to create a story. But in this 45-minute session, I want to give you one tool, which is CHARM, where C is called context. So if you want to write stories, always remember, and especially business stories, you need to have a context. If you remember, I just shared a story with you while I was in Kenya and I wanted to meet Google. I shared a context with you on why I was going. What was the objective of me traveling from Nairobi to Lagos? And I built a little background about it. Do you agree? Do you remember? I built a little background about it, that once I was in my childhood, I always wanted to sell something to Google. And I got an opportunity when I was posted in Kenya. This entire piece that I shared just now, 10 minutes back, is what a context is all about. Okay. So when you are going for a meeting, you can rehearse the context. You can rehearse what you want to share with the help of context. Then the second thing you should highlight in your story is, what are the problems and challenges that the client is facing? And always attempt not to make yourself a hero or heroine or lead actor or lead actress of that story. Make client the hero or heroine of that story. Which basically means, what are the problems and challenges my client is facing for which I had gone? And if you remember the Google story that I shared, I was sharing a context, the challenge that they were facing. They were struggling to get a credible partner to launch their digital skills initiative in 18 countries. Then share what actions were taken to solve that problem. Then share what is the final solution that you have provided to the client. And last but not the least, what is the benefit, what is the utility, what is the value that your client got with that story, with that initiative, with that solution that you provide. If you follow the CHARM structure, you will be able to articulate your story very well. So let's do an exercise to learn the CHARM structure. I'm copying this CHARM structure. I want all of you to take a snapshot. Please take a snapshot using your phone, or do a print screen on your laptop if you're accessing laptop right now, and copy this slide so that you can refer it later. Has everyone noted or copied? Yes or no? Please give me a feedback in the chat box. क्या आप सब लोगों ने नोट कर लिया है या कॉपी कर लिया? Dimple Shah says yes. Hitesh says yes. I want all of you to give me a confirmation because then I will switch it off once you are able to note or copy. Now you have to do an exercise with me right now. And here is my question to you. In the chat box, I am asking you a question. Tell me something about I've written a question to you all in the chat box. And the question is, why does your business exist? 5 शब्द का एक क्वेश्चन है, why does your business exist? And I want all of you to take 5 minutes. It is 3:28 in my watch, India time. By 3:33 or 3:34, take 5 or 6 minutes. Use this charm structure and write down response to this question in 150 words. 150 शब्दों में 150 वर्ड्स में आपको एक स्टोरी लिखनी है इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर. मुकेश गुप्ता जी ने मेरे से लिखा है कि आप हिंदी में बात करें. तो गुप्ता जी मैं आपको बता देता हूं, आपको चार्म स्ट्रक्चर यूज करते हुए 150 शब्दों में इस क्वेश्चन का जवाब लिखना है कि आपका बिजनेस क्यों एग्जिस्ट करता है. पहले उसका थोड़ा सा कॉन्टेक्स्ट दीजिए अपने बिजनेस का, फिर बताइए क्या प्रॉब्लम्स और चैलेंजेस आपका बिजनेस सॉल्व करता है, आपने इस बिजनेस की शुरुआत कैसे करी, क्या एक्शंस लिए आपने बिजनेस को शुरुआत कराने में, आपने कैसे अपने क्लाइंट्स क्या प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करते हैं और उससे क्या बेनिफिट मिलता है. इस स्ट्रक्चर को यूज करते हुए यू हैव टू आंसर द क्वेश्चन व्हाई डज योर बिजनेस एक्जिस्ट. मैं अब अगले 8 या 10 मिनट कुछ नहीं बोलूंगा. आई वांट टू बी साइलेंट एंड आई वांट यू टू डू दिस एक्सरसाइज. आई विल रीड द स्टोरी एंड गिव फीडबैक. Your time starts now. Has everyone understood what is the task? आप सब लोगों को समझ में आ गया क्या टास्क है? Yes or no? Have you all understood? Devesh Chaudhary, Hitesh Prajapati, Janet Anthony, Dimple Shah, Mukesh Gupta, Pawan Bodra, Rana Jiten Singh, Ranjana, Sanjay, Sneha, Soumya, Vikas, everyone. आपको समझ में आ गया? So what you need to do is prepare your story. The story should not exceed 150 words. Your time starts now. पढ़ने के लिए तो बहुत सारे वेबिनार है, लेकिन प्रैक्टिस करने के लिए you need to take time. And you have to drop the answer in the chat box. Your time starts now. I am switching off my video and I will go live again in 10 minutes. 3:40 I will check one story. जो भी सबसे पहले पोस्ट करेगा उसके बारे में, उस स्टोरी के बारे में मैं बात करूंगा. So hurry up. And I want my backend team to play some success stories or testimonials of our clients in the meanwhile, while people are preparing the story. मुकेश गुप्ता जी, आपको शायद स्टोरी का स्ट्रक्चर या तो आप मिस कर गए, या आप शुरुआत से नहीं थे, या आपने ध्यान नहीं दिया. चार्म स्ट्रक्चर को यूज करते हुए 150 वर्ड में उसको आंसर करना है. सिर्फ ये नहीं बताना है कि आप क्या काम करते हैं. अदरवाइज पढ़कर उसको करना नहीं आएगा. हो सकता है क्योंकि कंटेंट इंग्लिश में और आपके बात समझ में नहीं आए, तो मैं सिर्फ माफी मांग सकता हूँ. आपको कोशिश करूंगा कि अगर आपके क्वेश्चंस का आंसर हिंदी में देखूं, बट मैं दोबारा रिपीट नहीं कर पाऊंगा. So Utkarsh Juneja, if you can play some success stories in the meanwhile while people are doing the exercise. If you can play back some video. Bayadura Ganguly, Rajshri, requesting anyone if you can do that.
if we have the right coach, the right direction and the right team.
जब बिजनेस मैंने स्टार्ट किया सभी लोग पूछते क्या काम करोगे, तुम्हारा कोई बिजनेस का एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, एक्सपोजर नहीं है, फैमिली भी बिजनेस से रिलेटेड बिल्कुल भी नहीं थे, एंड देयर वाज नोबडी टू गाइड मी. देन थिंकिंग वाज ओनली कि चलना शुरू करेंगे तो रास्ते मिलेंगे. देन आई थॉट ऑफ स्टार्टिंग मूविंग एंड वो गोड दी रास्ते भी मिल गए हमें चलने के बाद. अच्छा, बिजनेस स्टार्ट वाज नॉट वेरी इजी थिंग, क्योंकि जब मार्केट में कंटेक्ट नहीं है, रेपुटेशन नहीं है, तो nobody will entertain a new entrepreneur like us for very important machines to be taken care by a new person. फिर भी हम लगे रहे. Thinking was this कि I wanted to be successful at any cost. तो मुझे उस टाइम I was not worried what I am going to earn, what I am going to lose. एक पागलपन था कि सक्सेस तो होना ही होना है. At any cost I have to be successful. And with that thinking, overall circumstances helped us like this, and we got few opportunities also, which were very good opportunities, and they gave us very good standing in the market.
I joined my business because I thought that it is the only area where I could get endless opportunities. I wanted to get into a product, and for which I got an opportunity through L&T ECC division, and with some research and help I was able to develop that product. In a very short period, other RMC companies such as ACC and Ultratech became my client. Our foundry became of a world-class product manufacturing company, and we are exporting material to different countries as well as OEMs in India. From 2013, we gained some momentum, but we were not able to reach our desired pace. During this period, we came to know about Mission 5X through IMSME with our learning partner as SIL. So I decided to join this program because I thought that this would lead me to where I really want to reach in my life. After the first session of Burning Desire, it became a continuous learning process. The strategy part was very important. It made us realize that whatever we want to achieve, we need to formulate a strategy. So I feel that with the right plan, we will be able to achieve our goal.
Guys, if you can,
For this, I would like to thank IMSME and SIL to give me the proper guidance,
guys, if you can
make
stop
my
it.
vision and achieve the goal where I want to reach.
Actually,
I still feel that.
Yes, sir. Share.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rajshri. So first story has come. Let me talk to Mr. Vikas Kumar. Mr. Kumar, how are you?
I'm doing well, sir. I hope you can hear me.
Yes. So just quickly share the story.
Well, I have already written it. It's like
share the story. That will make it live.
Sure. Why not? First of all, thank you very much, and good afternoon to you.
And for your help, I'm doing something. I'm keeping the slide alive of Charm.
Sure.
So that you can follow the structure. And tell me till where you have sharing context. How are you articulating the challenge? What actions are you taking? How are you solving that problem, and what's the benefit your customers are getting?
Perfect. The context behind the scene is like I was working in a couple of organizations. I had worked for over 8-10 years as a regional manager, and I was into selling mosaic tiles. These are small, unique tiles which are half an inch and a 1 inch placed on a net, and then they are placed. We create designs out of it. So it's basically a beautification of a process of either bathrooms, swimming pools, kitchens, and other living areas. So we were selling these products, and people were quite excited about it, especially architects and interior designers. It saved a lot of time and gave them a new dimension to work on. So when they were using that product, that is the context behind it. Like they were using it with a very great enthusiasm, but ultimately the finish that they were conceptualizing didn't come up. So that was a hindrance, was that they had too many people to coordinate with. Many people were selling one part of the mosaic, somebody was selling some other part of the mosaic. Something like, let's say, if the product is of glass, only one company was selling for glass. If it is ceramic, the ceramic was with somebody else. If it is of crystal, the crystal was being sold by some other company. So there was nothing coherent at one place. So that was another challenge. And the second challenge was of implementation of it. So we decided and took an action where we brought all the mosaics under one roof, and we sorted and went to all the interior designers, architects, basically influencers, telling them that you can approach us and we will give you all the solutions at one place for all the mosaics. And we will also do an installation work. We have installation team with us. We'll recommend, they will do a nice job. And that is the action that we took. Now, the resolution was that it solved a lot of problems of the architects and interior designers in terms that they need to contact only Vikas for a lot of mosaics, for all kind of mosaics, as well as for installations. So not only that increased the revenue part, because we were getting together, not just the supply, we were also getting installations. And that also gave a confidence to the customer as well as architects that they are in one professional hand where they don't have to worry about it once they have given the job to us. So that was the meaning for the customer.
Where do you think you can use, Mr. Kumar, the skill of storytelling in business? Which all areas you can use?
Well, it can be in terms of introduction of our product, in terms of correlating the problems of the customer with the solutions that we are providing, as well as that naturally when the need analysis gets done with the customer, उनकी problem का अगर हम solution दे पा रहे हैं, तो I think that's what is the sales is all about, matching the needs of the customer.
How about case studies?
Case study in my business, in my case.
How about using stories in case studies?
So, can you please elaborate, because I'm not able to get the context of your.
अगर किसी customer को testimonial चाहिए या case study share करनी है, presentation देने जा रहे हो आप,
जी.
Can we use stories there? That
yes.
In your industry have solved this problem, so let me share a story about it.
I did that just day before yesterday, and I was in a meeting, and the customer was facing a problem. Like customer came out with me.
Next time when you respond, use the charm structure. Sure, we can, and that's what is the base. Are you with me?
Yes,
use
I have
the charm structure and then share the story.
Yes, I did. I did exactly that.
Immediately put the structure together. Now, how about writing this story on your LinkedIn profile?
Yes, the same thing what I have written. Frankly, this has given me a beautiful concept, because this concept I have still not put it on my LinkedIn profile. I am on LinkedIn and well connected. This I'll do today itself.
Mr. Kumar, yesterday somebody asked me a question that I am in a. They provide automation solutions, and the owner of the company asked me a question that should I promote my company's LinkedIn profile or should I promote my profile? Now, I always was interested in knowing why is he asking that question, and I have given answer also. But primarily people relate more with people. Do you agree?
Right. Very true.
And
people buy from people.
Do they relate with a human being or do they relate with stories?
Well, of course, they relate more to humans who tell the stories.
Now, whenever somebody asks me, how was your experience when you were in Kenya? My answer at random is that so if people are in Gurgaon and they're asking me that question, my instant reaction and response, which is very well rehearsed, is that the place where my cabin was taking a sneak peek into the national park of Kenya.
Yeah, you have reiterated a lot of times.
Yes. Now, that's what storytelling is all about. That you not only, whatever are the commonly asked questions by the customer, whether it is at the time of opening of the call, whether it is at the time when you are understanding the customer's need, whether it is at the time when you are understanding the circumstances of the customer, whether it is at a time when you are presenting your solution, whether it is at a time when you are explaining the benefits of your product or services, whether it is at a time when you are handling objections, whether it is at a time of closing of the order, whether it is at a time when you're doing relationship management. The entire sales cycle has opportunities to share stories. Do you agree with me?
Absolutely.
And if in your free time, in your reflection time, if you can not only design the stories, write the stories, and you and your sales team prepare very well and rehearse, as if any customer can ask that question, will you become sharper? Yes or no?
Yes.
That's the point that I wanted to make, this 5-point structure. And last few points I would like to make is, one, in your stories, attempt to make customers the hero, not yourself. Because people are mostly interested in their stories. Or a story, let's say, today I am taking this webinar from an industrial area in Ghaziabad. And I have come for a meeting with a client. I'm operating out of their cabin today. I have come to meet a client, and if I'm sharing stories which is related with their business or their allied business or similar business, sometimes they get hooked onto that story. Yeah. So one of the questions at pre-lunch they were asking me is, what is the most effective way of telling, communicating the schemes to our clients? My answer was, share the story. And when we discussed charm structure, they were able to articulate. So using that structure, they did a webinar and shared a story where they launched a brand ambassador in their business. But they wrote a story first. They did the storyboarding first. They practiced it by making a video, and then they actually did a live webinar. What would be more effective? Just random preparation or going well prepared with your stories? Obviously, well prepared with your story. The second point is, stories are not about you, it's about the customers. Third, always try and personalize the story. People like to get related with characters. So if you are talking about that, let's say one day I went to a media company and I met a purchase manager called Abhishek. Okay. People, when you include the details in your story, people relate to it. I traveled to a place called Barog last month during summer vacation, which is run by my friend, and the name of the company is, I think you can go onto the website, barogdiaries.com or Vacation Diaries. There is a beautiful property, which is a hilltop in a small place in Himachal called Barog. And there's a beautiful story why that name Barog was given. If you personalize the story, people get hooked onto that story. Yes or no? Fourth point I want to say is, unless and until it is by design that you are sharing a long story, please keep the story concise. And to be precise, I would say 150 words. May not be applicable in every situation, but 150 words are usually spoken in a minute. So if you can create 1-minute stories, the chances of you becomes using those stories in business and getting more business is far higher. The third last point I want to say is, before I end, is stories are elastic. You can expand your story, you can contract your story, depending on the kind of interest level that the audience is showing. Use visual language, and please ensure that the words that you're using, please tickle the senses. Use the metaphors, use the similes, so that it becomes more interesting. The final or the fourth point I wanted to make out of 5 points today is, memorize the story. Take 3x5 cards, 3x5 cards, and create a visual image deck on how the story flows. जो लोग अपने टेक टॉक की प्रिपरेशन करते हैं वो इसका इस्तेमाल करते हैं. जो लोग पिच प्रेजेंटेशंस यूज करते हैं इसका इस्तेमाल करते हैं. जो सेल्स प्रेजेंटेशंस करते हैं वो प्रेजेंटेशन स्मार्ट इस्तेमाल करते हैं. जो इन्वेस्टर के सामने प्रेजेंटेशन देते हैं वो अपनी स्टोरी का इस्तेमाल करते हैं. अगर आपने रिसेंट पास्ट में एक प्रोग्राम देखा होगा जो बहुत पॉपुलर हुआ, शार्क टैंक्स का इंडिया वर्जन, when people were asking, tell me something about your company, the first thing that they were sharing is their story. Yes, no? And let me tell you, that people rehearse for 100 times before they come on programs like Shark Tank India, because when you're making a debt presentation in front of an investor, it's a one-off opportunity. When you get, you do a lot of hard work to reach there, and if the story is right, it can give you results. Yes or no?
True.
Speak it out loud, practice, time it, how much time you're taking that story. Find the methodology that works best for you. Some people like to share presentations, some people like to express, some people like to paint, some people like to use graphic software, some people would like to use Illustrator, some people would like to use video. Whatever works best for you, please capture the story accordingly. Key point is create stories at least once a month so that you practice. And last but not the least, obviously, repetition is the mother of skills, so practice. The last point I want to make before I end the session today is please read this book, Business Story for Telling for Dummies. I am not getting commission out of it, but I found that book very useful, and I thought it would be important for me to not only share the name of the author, give credit to her to inspire me to take this presentation today, and share with all of you so that you can learn even more, much better than what I have done as far as in my 24 years of career as far as storytelling is concerned. So that's it from my side. Quick summary on what I did today. I wanted to share with you what is the basic importance of storytelling in sales. Second is how to create the story using a charm structure. Third is some important points that I wanted to make. Fourth is how to practice. And last but not the least, read this reference book so that you can practice. That's it from my side, guys. If you like the way I have wrapped my presentation in 45 minutes time, I started at 3:04, finished at 3:49. And if you have found something meaningful, quickly drop your comments in the chat box on what is one thing that you have learned from the storytelling session today. Quickly drop your comments in the chat box और ये बताइए कि आज आपने क्या सीखा. मैं जानना चाहता हूं कि आज आपने इतनी देर में क्या सीखा. Vikas Kumar says, charm was a charm to learn. Very beautifully said, Vikas. Mr. Dimple Shah says, never knew this concept, so I hope you will find it meaningful. मैं चाहता हूं सारे लोग बताएं कि उन्होंने क्या सीखा. फिर मैं क्विकली आपको एक और इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर करना चाहूंगा. क्विक इंफॉर्मेशन ये शेयर करना चाहता हूं. Interesting and insightful. Thank you and God bless you. God bless you too, Janet. Quickly, how many of you use very meaningful concepts, sir? charm का उपयोग करके अपनी कहानी कैसे बताएं? बहुत बढ़िया. हिंदी में बहुत, बल्कि हिंदी में स्टोरी लिखिए, मराठी में स्टोरी बताइए, तमिल में स्टोरी बताइए, जो भी लैंग्वेज में आप स्टोरी बता सकते हैं, जो ऑडियंस को पसंद करेगी, जो ऑडियंस के हिसाब से होगी, उस लैंग्वेज में बोलिए. लैंग्वेज इज जस्ट अ मीडियम. आप में से कितने लोग आईफोन यूज करते हैं और कितने लोग एंड्रॉइड यूज करते हैं? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर यूजिंग एंड्रॉइड फोन? तो जो भी लोग एंड्रॉइड यूज करते हैं, सॉरी आईफोन यूजर्स के लिए आज मैं ये बात नहीं बता रहा हूं. जो लोग एंड्रॉइड यूज करते हैं, मेरी तरफ से आपको एक गिफ्ट है और मैं स्क्रीन पे शेयर करूंगा आपको. जो भी लोग एंड्रॉइड यूजर्स हैं, वो गूगल प्ले स्टोर पर जाकर SIL यूनिवर्सिटी पे जाएं और ऐप को डाउनलोड करें. अगर आप लैपटॉप पर काम कर रहे हैं, अगर आप अपने लैपटॉप पर काम कर रहे हैं, तो टाइप करिए https siluniversity.com. इसको मैं चैट बॉक्स में कॉपी कर रहा हूं. Sanjay Yadav says we also use the same method for storytelling, but charm is a good way to remember the sequence. Absolutely. That was the objective, Mr. Yadav. Frameworks help in remembering. इस लिंक पर क्लिक करिए आप लोग और एक बिजनेस हेल्थ चेकअप सर्वे करिए. इस सर्वे में पार्टिसिपेट करके देखिए कि आप, और ये बताएगा आपको कि आपके बिजनेस में किन किन चीजों में आपको हेल्प की जरूरत है. ये फ्री सर्वे करिएगा, बिजनेस हेल्थ चेकअप सर्वे. एंड जिन एरियाज में आपको हेल्प की जरूरत लगे, यू कैन बुक अ कॉल विद अस. पहला गिफ्ट. दूसरा, आप इस वेबसाइट पर जाकर कुछ फ्री पावर सेशंस अटेंड कर सकते हैं। आप रोड टू एक्सीलेंस के पावर सेशंस अटेंड कर सकते हैं। आप बर्निंग डिजायर नाम के एक प्रोग्राम के पावर सेशंस अटेंड कर सकते हैं। आप फैक्ट्री से रिलेटेड हैं तो फिर फैक्ट्री अटेंड कर सकते हैं। और अगर आप सेल्स के बारे में जानना चाहते हैं, मुझसे पढ़ना चाहते हैं, तो आप मेरे प्रोग्राम के बारे में भी पढ़ सकते हैं जिसका नाम है सेल्स मैग्नेट। अगर आप सेल्स मैग्नेट के सेशन पर क्लिक करेंगे तो आपको स्क्रीन पर कुछ ऐसा दिखाई देगा। आपको कुछ फ्री पावर सेशंस मिलेंगे जिसमें आपको इंट्रोडक्शन टू सेल्स मैग्नेट मिलेगा, स्पैन को सेल्स प्रोसेस के बारे में जानने को मिलेगा, लैंग्वेज ऑफ नीड्स का वीडियो मिलेगा, हाउ टू अंडरस्टैंड द रियल नीड्स ऑफ कस्टमर के बारे में मिलेगा, हाउ प्रोडक्ट मीट द नीड के बारे में मिलेगा, नेगोशिएशन के बारे में मिलेगा, टाइप्स ऑफ कंसर्न्स के बारे में मिलेगा। अगर आप को इंटरेस्ट है और इन फ्री पावर सेशंस को सीखने के बाद आपको लगता है कि आप पूरा प्रोग्राम अटेंड करना चाहते हैं सेल्स मैग्नेट का, तो आप ओवरव्यू देख सकते हैं कि इस प्रोग्राम में हम क्या कराते हैं। आप पूरा करिकुलम देख सकते हैं कि हम इस प्रोग्राम में क्या क्या सब्जेक्ट्स पढ़ाते हैं। आप पॉसिबल आउटकम्स देख सकते हैं कि आपको क्या सीखने को मिलेगा, और आप मेरे बारे में भी जान सकते हैं कि मैंने क्या किया है, एंड यू कैन गेट टू नो अबाउट। अगर आप ड्यूरेशन देखना चाहें, एक्सेस देखना चाहें, इसकी फीस, अगर आप ये पूरा प्रोग्राम खरीदते हैं तो इसकी फीस 9,999 रुपीज प्लस टैक्सेस है। अगर आप अपने दोस्तों के साथ फेसबुक पर शेयर करना चाहते हैं तो आप शेयर कर सकते हैं, ट्विटर पे शेयर कर सकते हैं, व्हाट्सएप पे शेयर कर सकते हैं, लिंक्डइन पर शेयर कर सकते हैं। आप लोगों के साथ फ्री पावर सेशन अटेंड कर सकते हैं। तो मेरी तरफ से आज आपको फ्री 6 वीडियोस हैं पावर सेशन के, प्लीज उसको देखिए ध्यान से। जितने भी फ्री सेशन हैं, एग्जैक्ट नंबर एक बार देख लेते हैं कितने हैं। 6 नहीं है, 7 है। सो 7 पावर सेशन हैं विच यू कैन अटेंड। गो थ्रू इट, एंड इफ यू लाइक इट, देन ओनली, इफ यू फाइंड इट मीनिंगफुल और आप सीखना चाहते हैं मेरे से इस प्रोग्राम के बारे में, अगर आपको लगता है कि वीडियो से नहीं और आप मेरे से लाइव सीखना चाहते हैं, तो मैं इस प्रोग्राम का 33rd बैच शुरू करने जा रहा हूं कल से, 24 जून से। सुबह 7 बजे से 9 बजे तक इसका टाइमिंग रहेगा। 10 दिन का ये लाइव सेशन होगा, रिकॉर्डेड नहीं होगा। 20 आवर्स का कंटेंट होगा। 1 आवर का आपको मेरे साथ सेशन करने का मौका मिलेगा लाइव, क्योंकि कई बार लोग प्रोग्राम में नहीं पूछ पाते, 1 आवर डिस्कशन करना चाहते हैं। आपको लर्निंग वीडियोस मिलेंगे, आपको 10 टूल मिलेंगे प्रोग्राम में, आपको 26 पॉइंट की चेकलिस्ट मिलेगी, और आपको एक लाइफ लॉन्ग मेंबर मिलने का मौका मिलेगा, जिसमें आप लाइफ लॉन्ग हर संडे को 7 to 8 लाइव मेरे से मुलाकात कर सकते हैं और अपने क्वेश्चंस पूछ सकते हैं सेल्स से रिलेटेड। तो क्या क्या मिल रहा है आपको? 20 आवर्स का प्रोग्राम 9,999 रुपए में। आपको 1 घंटे मेरे से बातचीत करने को मिल रहा है। आपको 7 फ्री पावर सेशंस मिल रहे हैं। आपको लर्निंग वीडियोस मिल रहे हैं। आपको टूल्स मिल रहे हैं सेल्स एंड मार्केटिंग से रिलेटेड। आपको पूरे प्रोग्राम की एक इम्प्लीमेंटेशन चेकलिस्ट मिल रही है, और लाइफ लॉन्ग सेल्स के बारे में सीखने का, लाइव सेशंस अटेंड करने का, सेल्स ग्रोथ कम्युनिटी ज्वाइन करने का मौका मिलेगा। ये सब सिर्फ है 9,999। 32 बैचेस हो चुके हैं, 33 बैचेस, 33rd बैच की कल शुरुआत करेंगे। जो लोग रजिस्टर करना चाहते हैं, चैट बॉक्स में रजिस्ट्रेशन का लिंक दे रखा है, वो रजिस्टर कर सकते हैं। मैं अब आप लोगों से इजाजत चाहूंगा। मेरा टीम मेंबर आपको अप्रोच करेंगे। मैं आशा करता हूं कि अगर आपको मेरा आज का सेशन पसंद आया हो, आपको चार्म स्ट्रक्चर वैल्यूएबल लगा और आप जिंदगी भर लाइफ लॉन्ग मेरे को एज अ कोच हायर करना चाहते हैं, तो प्लीज ज्वाइन करिए और इस सेल्स ग्रोथ कम्युनिटी को बढ़ाइए, एक दूसरे से सीखिए और हमेशा बेहतर बनते रहिए। On this note, I'm signing off. My name is Dr. Akshay Seth. I'm a sales growth specialist. You can read about me on my LinkedIn profile, and anything you would like to know, I'm just a phone call away. You can drop a message to our consultant and they can get a call fixed with us. Wish you guys all the best. Have fun, stay safe. May you become a sales magnet in your life. Bye bye. मुकेश गुप्ता जी, फ्री सेशन देखने के लिए लिंक दीक्षा शर्मा ने दे रखा है, और अगर आप पैसे नहीं देना चाहते हैं और फ्री में पढ़ाई करना चाहते हैं तो 7 वीडियोस फ्री, ठीक है। लेकिन अगर आप सीरियसली सीखना चाहते हैं तो 9,999 रुपए दे दीजिए, किनारे होकर फ्री सेशन मत अटेंड करिए, क्योंकि पूरी बात शायद ना समझ पाए। लेकिन अगर फिर भी आपको तकलीफ है 9,999 रुपए में देने में, फाइनेंशियली किसी तरीके का चैलेंज है, या आप मीनिंगफुल नहीं जानना चाहते, तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं। विश यू गाइस ऑल द बेस्ट। बाय बाय।
Knowledge is power, but mere having knowledge is not sufficient. One should be able to know how to apply that knowledge. We as an organization believe in knowledge and constant growth.
मैं आरसी चौधरी 78 में कॉलेज छोड़ने के बाद फरीदाबाद आया और यहाँ एक कंपनी में एज ए सुपरवाइज़र का काम शुरू किया। 3 साल के बाद मैं उस कंपनी का वर्क्स मैनेजर बना। 82 में हमने छोटा सा काम ट्रेडिंग का शुरू किया, जिसमें डिवाइसेस का और विनाइल फ्लोरिंग वगैरह का काम था। 92 में हमने मल्टी डेकोर की स्थापना करी और उसके बाद में पहला ऑर्डर हमें फोर्ड इंडिया लिमिटेड से 7 लाख का ऑर्डर मिला। फिर दूसरा ऑर्डर एस्कॉर्ट्स ग्रुप से मिला, फिर BXL इंडिया लिमिटेड, इंडियन ऑयल, और धीरे धीरे बहुत सारी कंपनियां इस तरह से हमारे साथ जुड़ती गई और हम जोड़ते चले गए प्री फैब में। 2009 में प्रदीप IIM इंदौर से पढ़ाई करने के बाद में वो हमारे कंपनी के साथ में जुड़ गया।
I completed my executive MBA in due to some illness. Once I joined back, I realized company should run as a well-oiled machinery. It should be on autopilot. It should not be dependent on a person. So I started designing systems and processes. From 2016 till 2018, growth was better due to some processes, but again, the knowledge is always limited. I felt the need of learning. In 2018, there was ad by IMSM of India for Mission 5X, which resonated with my plan for growth and automation. IMSME introduced us to School of Inspirational Leadership, where we underwent numerous programs. Journey started with burning desire, where the context was set right by orienting us as a business leader. The very important lesson which was taken aback was owner and business is totally separate entity. They were two different things. The second session of strategy taught us how that growth path can be achieved. A business plan was made. There were numerous sessions and numerous learnings. All were taken back and taught to our core team in the organizations. This financial year, we have taken a jump of 90%. And for the next financial year, we have set up a target of 120%. SIL is a true partner in your growth. They not only impart you the knowledge, but also handhold you through the all complete process. I can personally guarantee entrepreneurs who wish to take up this journey that your journey will not only be rewarding but a life-changing one.
You are unique. You are passionate. SIL salutes the rigor and dream within you. We promise.
सन 1994 से 2001 तक इलेक्ट्रिकल फील्ड की प्रतिष्ठित कंपनी में कार्य करने के दौरान हमने ये रियलाइज़ किया कि हमारे इलेक्ट्रिकल गुड्स के अंदर या तो बहुत ही महंगे प्रोडक्ट बाजार में उपलब्ध हैं या निम्न क्वालिटी के बहुत ही सस्ते प्रोडक्ट उपलब्ध हैं जो कि कस्टमर की ज़िंदगी के साथ खिलवाड़ है। ये एहसास होने के बाद सन 2002 में एक उद्देश्य के साथ, एक खास उद्देश्य के साथ कि हम एक अच्छा प्रोडक्ट अफोर्डेबल प्राइस पे आम कस्टमर तक उपलब्ध करा सकें, इस उद्देश्य के साथ सन 2002 में बिल्टेक की स्थापना की गई थी। 2002 से लेकर 2018 तक बिल्टेक ने सफलता के नित नए आयाम छुए हैं। एक छोटी सी
किराए की जगह में शुरुआत करने के बाद आज ये कंपनी कई मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्लांट ओन करती है और हिंदुस्तान के अंदर 15 से अधिक राज्यों में हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स उपलब्ध हैं और 10 से अधिक कंट्रियों में हम एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं अपने प्रोडक्ट्स को। इन 16 साल की जर्नी में ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने काफ़ी ग्रो किया, सफलता के नित नए आयाम छुए, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं अंदर ही अंदर हमको ये महसूस हो रहा था कि कंपनी को एक स्टेप फर्दर ले जाने के लिए हमको पर्सनल नॉलेज ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को और गेन करनी पड़ेगी। उसके लिए हमको एक राइट प्लेटफॉर्म की ज़रूरत थी। फॉर्चुनेटली IMSME ऑफ इंडिया के थ्रू हम SIL पुणे से कनेक्ट हुए और हमको एक ये सुनहरा अवसर मिला और उसके बाद हमारी EDP की जर्नी स्टार्ट हुई, जो कि आने वाले समय में मुझे उम्मीद है कि एक माइलस्टोन साबित होगी। जो नॉलेज हमने वहाँ पे गेन की क्वालिफाइड इंस्ट्रक्टर्स से, हमारे कोचेज से, वो अनपैरेलल है। हमारे सोचने का पूरा तरीका बदल गया है उस पहली बर्निंग डिजायर के सेशन के बाद से ही। जिस तरीके से हम अपनी मैन पावर को ट्रीट करते थे, जिस तरह से हम विदाउट प्लान एक्स्ट्रा एफर्ट्स लगा के भी डिजायर्ड रिजल्ट नहीं ले पा रहे थे, जिस तरीके से हम बिना प्रॉपर स्ट्रेटेजी के ग्रोथ लेने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, उन सब तरीकों में पूरा बदलाव आया। और अब हम ये मानते हैं, क्योंकि अब हमने नॉलेज प्रॉपर एक्वायर कर ली है और न केवल नॉलेज एक्वायर करने से हम सक्सेसफुल होंगे, बल्कि हम एक्वायर्ड नॉलेज के सक्सेसफुल इम्प्लीमेंटेशन से सक्सेसफुल होंगे। तो इस दिशा में हम लगातार कार्य कर रहे हैं और हमें उम्मीद है इस नॉलेज के थ्रू हम 4 साल में बिल्टेक को 200 करोड़ प्लस ले जाने में कामयाब होंगे। SIL के साथ जो ये जर्नी हमारी 1 साल की रही, स्कूल ऑफ स्पेशल लीडरशिप पुणे, जो डॉक्टर पवार और डिफरेंट लर्नड कोचेज के थ्रू हमको नॉलेज गेन हुई, जिसके थ्रू हम अपने सारे रिसोर्सेज बेटर मैनेज कर सकते हैं, ह्यूमन पावर को एज ए ह्यूमन रिसोर्स, एज ए ग्रेट टीम डेवलप कर सकते हैं और फ्यूचरिस्टिक अप्रोच जो हमारी हो सकती है, स्ट्रेटेजी के साथ हम काम कर सकते हैं। ये अनपैरेलल है जो हमने नॉलेज गेन की है। ये आपको मैनेजमेंट की बुक्स की नॉलेज ना होकर एक प्रैक्टिकल नॉलेज गेन हुई है। तो मैं अपने MSME के साथियों से को रिकमेंड करूँगा कि वो SIL पुणे से एसोसिएट हों और 100% इस प्रोग्राम के थ्रू जाएं।